And I'll ask Will to go over these individually, and we can see how we do.
Yes, sir. First, for your review, we have 56 sub-cabinet level appointments. This includes probably most notably 7 ambassador appointments. Those will be the first ambassadors, I believe, that
Right.
you've transmitted to the Senate.
Okay, and they're very good. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Second, we have acting designations. We're actually designating Doug Collins to be the acting leader of both the Office of Special Counsel and the Office of Government Ethics.
You know Doug, everybody on that? He was in charge of the fake impeachment hearings, remember? That I won very conclusively. Fake charges by the radical left Democrats. Okay.
Next, sir, the Federal Executive Institute is a program that was set up during the Johnson administration to train senior-level government bureaucrats. As you've identified repeatedly in the last few years, the senior levels of our federal government are not adequately serving as stewards of taxpayer dollars, so we're recommending zeroing out that program effectively.
We're actually getting rid of a few programs that are just a waste. Just really a waste.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have an executive order relating to the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. As you've repeatedly identified, the way that this act has been enforced over the years has been devastating to American business opportunities and business competitiveness abroad. We are essentially ordering the Department of Justice to use its prosecutorial discretion in a way to ameliorate the negative effects of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, to allow Americans to do business abroad, and to allow our foreign partners to do business with Americans without fearing unjust prosecution.
And for those of you that know this, it turned out to be, it sounds good on paper, but in practicality it's a disaster. It means that if an American goes over to a foreign country and starts doing business over there legally, legitimately, or otherwise, it's almost a guaranteed investigation, indictment, and nobody wants to do business with the Americans because of it. Nobody wants to do business. They say, look, we can deal with China, they can do whatever they want. We can deal with Russia, we can deal with anybody, and we have a normal life. You deal with America, the FBI gets over there. They don't investigate death and murders on the street in New York and Los Angeles. They go over and investigate a business guy trying to do business. So it made it very, very hard from a practical standpoint to make deals. They want to deal with the Americans, but they don't want to be under investigation every time they speak to American, every time an American makes a phone call to somebody in a different country. It's a disaster for this country. And I guess it was a Jimmy Carter concept, and it sounds so good, but it's so bad. It hurts the country, and many, many deals are unable to be made because of it. Nobody wants to do business because they don't want to feel like every time they pick up a phone, they're going to jail. So we'll sign this, and it takes courage to sign it because you only get bad publicity when you sign it. It sounds so nice, the title is so lovely, but it's an absolutely horror show for America. So we're signing it because that's what we have to do to make it good. Okay, thank you. It's an important one. It's going to mean a lot more business for America. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Next, this is an executive order relating to the use of paper straws. As you've consistently identified, nobody really likes paper straws.
#1 trending. Can you believe it? A paper straw was #1 trending for 3 days or something.
The environmental impact of plastic straws versus paper straws is entirely unclear. This has cost both the government and private industry an absolute ton of money and left consumers all over the country wildly dissatisfied with their straws. So we're asking aspects of the federal government, federal departments and agencies to look at their existing procurement processes, and we're asking your Domestic Policy Council to look holistically at this issue to address it, and it really is something that affects ordinary Americans in their everyday lives.
We're going back to plastic straws. These things don't work. I've had them many times, and on occasion they break, They explode. If something's hot, they don't last very long, like a matter of minutes, sometimes a matter of seconds. It's a ridiculous situation. So we're going back to plastic straws. I think it's okay. And I don't think that plastic's going to affect a shark very much as they're munching their way through the ocean. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have a full and unconditional pardon for former Governor Rod Blagojevich of the state of Illinois.
Good. It's my honor to do it. I've watched him. He was set up by a lot of bad people, some of the same people that I had to deal with. He wasn't quite as successful, but he had somebody that saw what was going on. I didn't know him other than I believe he was on The Apprentice for a little while. He was just a very nice person. He had a fantastic wife. She fought like hell to get him out. He was given a sentence of like 18 years, and it was a sort of a terrible injustice. They just were after him. They go after a lot of people. These are bad people, the other side. So I think he's just a very fine person, and this shouldn't have happened, and it shouldn't have happened to him, and let him have a normal life and let him go out and do what he has to do. So I'm signing this as a full pardon. Rod Blagojevich.
Mr. President, are you considering him for ambassador to Serbia?
No, but I would. I mean, he's now cleaner than anybody in this room. He got a pardon. He's cleaner than anybody in the room. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Next, in 2018, you imposed ad valorem duties, tariffs on imports of steel at a 25% rate. Since that time, a large number of exclusions and exceptions to that tariff rule have been implemented. Because of the damage to the United States steel industry that those exceptions and exclusions have imposed, we're now, this order would reimpose that 25% ad valorem tariff rate on imports of steel, and it's presented for your signature now.
Okay. Do you understand what that means? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. This is the beginning of making America rich again. Mr. Secretary, do you have anything to say? As you know, Howard is Secretary of Commerce, doing a fantastic job. And what do you have to say about it?
So when you imposed the tariffs the first time,
Right.
You added 120,000 jobs. And since that time, it's been picked away and nicked away and excluded away, and we've lost 107,000 jobs. And remember, these aren't just general jobs. These are steel workers in America, and now you're going to bring them back. You're going to bring those 120,000 jobs back to America. You are the president who's standing up for the American steel worker, and I am just tremendously impressed and delighted to stand next to you.
Mr. President, steel workers.
So let me just make a statement, and essentially this is another way of saying we're doing a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum. So the failed American trade policies have led our once incredible United States steel and aluminum industries, once incredible, it's once incredible, not now, but they're not bad. I saved them because of my first term, totally saved them. If I didn't do what I did, I put massive tariffs, not the highest level, but pretty massive tariffs. We took in a lot of money and we took in a lot of jobs, but we were being pummeled by both friend and foe alike. Our nation requires steel and aluminum to be made in America, not in foreign lands. We need to create, in order to protect our country's future, a resurgence of U.S. manufacturing and production, the likes of which has not been seen for many decades. It's time for our great industries to come back to America. I want them back to America. This is the first of many, and you know what I mean by that. We're going to be doing others on other subjects, topics. Protecting our steel and aluminum industries is a must, and today I'm simplifying our tariffs on steel and aluminum so that everyone can understand exactly what it means. It's 25% without exceptions or exemptions. And that's all countries, no matter where it comes from, all countries. If made in the United States, however, United States of America, there is no tariff, zero. So if it's made in the United States, there is no tariff. All you have to do is make it in the United States. We don't need it from another country. As an example, Canada. If we make it in the United States, we don't need it to be made in Canada. We'll have the jobs. That's why Canada should be our 51st state. We'll bring back industries, and we'll bring back our jobs, and we'll make America industry great again. So essentially, we're putting on a 25% tariff without exception on all aluminum and all steel. And it's going to mean a lot of businesses are going to be opening in the United States. Now, we're going to be meeting over the next 4-week period, maybe on a weekly basis, and maybe we'll do a couple of them at different times and maybe together. But we'll be talking about other subjects like cars. We'll be talking about drugs and pharmaceuticals. We'll be discussing chips, and we're going to be doing some other things in addition to that, all which will bring in a lot of jobs into our country. Cars is going to be a very big one and a very important one, and America is going to be stronger than it ever was before. Okay? So are you finished with everything, I think?
We have aluminum still to sign
Okay,
here, sir.
let's go.
So with respect to aluminum, similarly to steel, since 2018, a large number of exceptions and exemptions have been added into the law. This eliminates all of those and also increases the ad valorem tariff rate from 10 to 25%.
Mostly the last part is the most important, right, would you say?
Totally.
So basically, this is aluminum, the same thing, no exceptions, no nothing. And it's going to bring our aluminum business back and may go higher. I mean, frankly, it may go higher. And we're going to also be talking about we're going to be talking about things over the next 3 weeks that I think will be
10 to 25%.
Amazing for our country, amazing for our jobs, and will bring us to a new level of prosperity. And I think, frankly, our allies and our enemies all over the world expected this. They really expected it for years. They really expected it sometime during the Biden administration, but they didn't do anything. As you know, I put tariffs on China. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars with those tariffs, and Biden wasn't able to get them out. He tried to, but it was too much money. He couldn't do it. And we're going to be doing a very concise and, very, it's going to be good. And I don't think if done properly, and we're going to try and do that, we don't want it to hurt other countries, but they've been taking advantage of us for years and years and years. And they've charged us tariffs. Most of them have charged us, almost every one, I would say, almost without exception.
Definitely.
They've charged us, and we haven't charged them. And it's time to be reciprocal. So you'll be hearing that word a lot, reciprocal. If they charge us, we charge them. If they're at 25, we're at 25. If they're at 10, we're at 10. And if they're much higher than 25, that's what we are too. So that's having to do with everything. That's not just steel and aluminum. But we'll be discussing that over the next couple of weeks. But we will be looking at chips, and we will be looking at cars, and we're going to be looking at pharmaceuticals, and there'll be a couple of other things also in addition.
Mr. President, U.S. steelworkers have said that they support this move. But what would you say to American consumers who are worried that prices
That they do support this move?
U.S. steelmakers.
I love the steelmakers. That's
But-
good.
well, what do you say
Of course
to
they do,
American
because they
consumers?
want to save their businesses. U.S. Steel will now be a very valuable company. Anybody that makes steel is going to be great. Anybody that works in big steel is going to be very happy.
But what do you say to consumers who are worried about prices, sir?
Oh, I don't think you're going to. No, you're going to ultimately have a price reduction because they're going to make their steel here. There's not going to be any tariff. These foreign companies will move to the United States, will make their steel and aluminum in the United States.
What are you looking at?
Ultimately, it'll be cheaper. But we'll also have jobs, many, many more jobs.
Sir, what are you looking at in terms